Cool. Welcome to CS 202, Fall 2021. You can find the YouTube videos for the Fall 2020 and Summer 2020 and pretty much all the other ones in my channel as well. You should check out my channel for videos in general for all the classes that you want, and I will be uploading this class as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, then I will be creating the playlist on this side here for one of the two sides for being able. You'll see a thing pop up right here. For watching a playlist for this lecture and for the entire series of that. But anyways, let us go ahead and start by introducing myself proper. And I am probably going to make this first video unlisted because I am going to give away my personal information. The internet. So I am Dr. Jorge Fonseca. You can call me Doc or Dr. Fonseca if you want. And I did my PhD in UNLV actually, and I graduated in 2019 in July. And even before I finished the PhD, I was working as a visiting lecturer, and so they let me stay as a faculty in residence assistant professor, which is just a fancy name for like entry-level professor or whatever. And then I do research in machine learning and OCR and data analytics and a little bit of blockchain. And yeah, that's what I do. And so if this was 302, I'd tell them that's my favorite course. But I like 202 as well. I've been coding in C++ for quite a while. I do like coding more in Python. I have been coding all summer in Python. So I might be a little bit rusty on my C++, but don't worry. A couple of days, it'll be back up. Plus, today we are going to use the day to review 135 content. So that'll be good because that'll help me review and switch from that Python mindset. So what else I want to say about myself? I originally, well, do I want to say stuff on YouTube? Well, I mean, I'm originally from Mexico and speak Spanish and English. So yeah, if you want to find out more about me, I have my own page, jorge-fonseca.com. And you can also find me in the UNLV directory. I guess one cool thing about me is I applied along with a professor from the Department of Brain Health for a Alzheimer grant, and we got $3 million for that. So we are working on that. That's paying for my entire summer work. And so that's all in Python. So I just got out of summer working on that nonstop for the last 3 months. But it's a really, really cool grant. It's going to bring a lot of attention to UNLV, which is good for all of you. So yes. The link will be in Canvas, so you can check it out there later. And also, you will notice that on Canvas I have YouTube videos from, let's say, like video lecture 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those should match whatever I teach as well, but those are from the last time I taught. So they're there as a support. So like, if one day I gotta cancel class, or like, you know, just like the video that I already have is like amazing, we'll go with that. But most of the time I'll make it live. But at least that's like extra, because like there's more examples as well. So like, I do examples here, but like that will be like even more examples. So, you know, it can augment information. So that's why I have them there. So you can check those out. In fact, in theory, you could watch all of those and never watch the live ones and like be okay. But I will also upload the ones that I record every day to my YouTube channel, and then I'll post a link on Canvas. I probably won't do the individual videos, but I will have a main master link with the playlist, and then you can just check back on that. I usually upload them the same day. This week will be a little slow. I will start uploading after Wednesday because I have this data limit that I reach because I got a new computer and I maxed out the Cox limit. So resets on Wednesday, so bear with me on that. So, but anyways, like I was saying, that's who I am. I'm really happy about that Alzheimer thing because it's bringing a lot of recognition to UNLV. I'm also a lot into app development, and I had another grant for a 60 grant to develop a social distance app and other apps for UNLV. So I might make you guys beta test some of those if you want for some extra credit or something, or just for fun. So keep posted on that. We have one that's really, really cool that a student worked on called air navigation for augmented reality. Yes, Python is my favorite programming language, and then C++ is my second favorite. But big gap between them. It's not like they're this tight. It's like, nah, it's not like that. Okay. So, but yeah, so yeah, okay, that's enough of myself. So you're here because you want to learn C++, and you already know a lot of C++, but you want to become one with the C++, and that is what 202 is going to be about. So let me pop the syllabus here. Hello, syllabus. Let me make it a little bit bigger so that you all can see it. And I am not in my office because of the pandemic, so the best way to reach me is through email or Canvas message, which will send it to my email, or Discord direct message, which will send it to my watch, which might be a little bit faster to respond to, or a post on the Canvas, on the Discord group chat, which will also send it to my watch, which will make it faster to respond to. So I officially say that I don't respond to emails outside of business hours, but I do. But I do respond to Discord literally every time I'm awake. Like unless I'm showering, teaching class, or sleeping, or legally speaking, driving, since I don't want to say I'm breaking the law, then I will not respond. Okay? I mean, I will respond in any other scenario except those. So, I mean, unless it's like a super complicated question, I'm like, but usually I try to respond pretty quickly. Literally, my hand has been shaking for the past 3 days because every time somebody joins, I get a message here, and yeah, no, it's kind of spooky. Although to be fair, when I have Discord open like I do now, it doesn't vibrate because I have it open on a monitor. So that's why it's not vibrating right now. So yeah. Okay. Right, student. But yeah, although I mean I did set it so it doesn't vibrate when I'm like sleeping, but you know, I wouldn't respond anyways. If like I woke up, I was like, oh my god. Okay, so but you know, my sleep schedule rotates around. It's not as bad right now, but it'll shift around. But I will definitely respond whenever you guys ask questions, like most of the time, like pretty quickly, like that. So yeah. That's kind of like the option to not having office hours like at a specific time because people can't attend those, and either way I have to respond questions anyways. But yeah, okay. So again, what is this class about? Like this, you know C++. Like literally all the stuff you learn in 135 is more than enough to code anything you want in the world. Like there's nothing you can't code right now. It's just gonna be gruesome and tiresome and not fun, but you can do it all. So really now, what 202 is about is taking that knowledge of C++ and enhancing it by adding some things that will make your life easier. For example, we're going to talk about object-oriented programming. That's going to be like the first 3-4 weeks of the course, but it extends to the rest of the course in a way. That's going to teach you a way of programming that's supposed to make your life easier. That's why you're going to learn it. It may not be the best way to program. Some people say there are other better sort of styles, but it will at least be one of the ways that you can program to make your life good. Okay, so that's one of the big parts of the course, and you will learn with that several different syntax rules and things that you can do in C++ to do that object-oriented programming. That's inheritance, composition, classes in general, and all the stuff that comes with classes along. Okay, and eventually when you learn about virtuals and whatnot. So that's a big part of the class. You're also going to learn some extra things that you didn't know about, such as templates and virtual functions and operator overloading. These are things to enhance the language, to make it easier to code something, but also to make it just better, like work faster and better. Like again, you can do everything already, but like again, it might be gruesome to code, so you're going to be able to code whatever you want faster and more efficiently, but it also runs better off. And that better off comes into the second part of the course, which is the pointer thing. So you're going to learn about pointers, which are dreaded and scary for people, but we'll walk it carefully. And the reason it's not because the subject is hard; it's because the beauty and evil of pointers is that you are playing with memory, and if you screw up and you do something that you shouldn't, the program crashes. And so it's very easy for programs to crash whenever you're playing with memory. And a lot of the times when you're learning, you screw up, like everybody does, myself included, and then your program crashes. And then it sucks. Like when you run a program and it just dies, it tells you nothing. It just dies. It's like imagine like you're trying to start your car and it just doesn't start. And like if you're not like a car mechanic, which I'm not, you're just like, oh crap. I mean, sure, like most people say like check the battery and whatnot, but like you really just like you just know something's wrong, but you don't know what's wrong, where is it, how to fix it, like how long it's gonna take. You got no intel, and so that sucks because like Yeah, or that's a really good example because I built a PC over the summer and like mine turned on, but like I had an error on it and like on BIOS, and I was like, oh no, this is not good. And it turned out that error was not really an error; it was just a thing I should ignore. Oh no, I had another one where like it wasn't detecting an M2 drive, just flat out. And I Googled and I couldn't find out, and I almost gave up to the point of taking it apart to try to see if the thing was not plugged in. And finally I found that it was some setting that I had to change because of, even though I knew that the PCI port was shared with this, I assumed that it would be like, oh, there's something in the M2 and nothing in the PCI, so let me just like activate the M2. Nah, the computer was like, nah, you gotta do that manually. So yeah, that took like hours of debugging. And that's literally what you're gonna feel like with the program that crashes. Like you're just gonna like super panic. So that is why today I want to dedicate part of the day to review, but also, and first and foremost, to show you how to use a debugger, because that will help you. If I had a way to use a debugger when I was trying to get the computer to turn on and detect the M2 drive, I would have done that because that would have saved me a lot of time. So that is one of the big things that I want to do today. You may have used debuggers before, which is amazing if you can. Like, yes, you're way ahead of the curve here. But if not, then after today, I would really encourage you to do it, because like when it comes to that is what's going to make the pointer section of this course like not feel painful. Debuggers help you a lot with that. Okay, so, and I have a video already on YouTube how to use GDB debugger, which is a terminal-based debugger, but I would like to show you how to use an IDE with a debugger, which in this case is VS Code, and how to set that up and everything, and we'll do that in a couple of minutes. Okay. Yes, it will be posted on YouTube. Yes, and I will post the link on Canvas after I get it uploaded. But bear with me; it might not be up immediately because of the data cap thing. I might have to wait until Wednesday. I might try to hack into my neighbor's internet and like upload it to there or something. So yeah, but okay. Anyways, so that will be another part of the course, the pointers, and then from there we will have a midterm, and then midterm 1 of 2. And then after that, we will do more stuff. We will talk about recursion, which is a concept. It's no longer coding, it's just concepts. I think, actually, after we learn about templates right here on week 9, so that's about a little bit over half of the course, we're done. We have learned everything we need to know for C++. There's a lot more to learn, don't get me wrong, and they will never teach it in any other course. It sucks, but that's just the way it is. But you can learn it on your own. You're expected at that point to kind of seek the knowledge after that, okay? But things that are maybe like niche, you know, like you don't use normally, but like it might be useful to know, like a smart pointer or you know, libraries and things like that. But anyways, so what happens after the rest of the course? It takes a turn to teaching concepts. So it teaches you the concept of recursion, which you already have all. In fact, right now I could tell you to write a recursive function and we could do it, and you'd be okay. But we're going to teach you proper some of the techniques, how to do it right, how to do it wrong, I guess, if you don't do it that way, and so on. So that'll be recursion. Recursion is a very hard topic because it requires a different way of thinking, and we just are not, like, us humans, we don't really think that way, at least in a pure recursive way, and it doesn't help that we learn things iteratively. So that's okay. After that, we talk about data structures for the rest of the course, which is like a precursor to 302, which is the data structure course, which is literally what I'm teaching right before this. We will talk about linked list. I will walk you through it. I'll show you everything. I will code it in front of you. Then you go home and code the same thing. And then it'll be very, very like baby steps because we want to kind of get you warmed up. Because when you get to 302, you get none of that. so this is your one chance about that. So we want to kind of get you warmed up for that. Yeah, recursion is in general, like even in 202, I wish we had like a month in recursion. We could really get into it and practice it. And, like, the thing about recursion is like it just takes practice to get into that mindset. It's like learning like how to bake or how to cook. You have to do it a couple of times to kind of get a feel for it. You know, you don't just like, you know, you look at a recipe like this is all you got to do to make a cake. And like conceptually, you're like, okay, I knew exactly what I got to do. But that's very different from like that to like in practice, like trying to make the cake and like the thing exploding or something. So that's recursion for you. It takes time to learn it and practice it. It's just practice. And you will do a lot of it in 302 to practice. So you'll have to. That's it. Stacks and queues we'll cover very quickly. It's more of a 302 thing, but we will touch it. So how does the grade distribution work? Half of it is assignments, and then the other half is going to be tests, of which 15, 15, and 20. This course is run a little differently than other courses. Actually, if you come from, apologies for the siren, if you come from 135, then you are going to be familiar with this, more than I am actually. And that is that all of the testing is done shared. So I'm actually the CS, I should have said it in the bio, but I am the CS202 coordinator. I coordinate all 202 sections. So as part of that job, I am trying to not me, I've been told by other people to do it. I'm trying to unify the material so that we have a consistency in that, so that when people get to the next course, it's consistent. In fact, you were all under Dolly Jorgensen, which was the coordinator for 135. So the idea was that like what they taught, like all of you should know, whether you took it with Dolly, you took it with Jimmy, with Kishore, whoever taught it, you should all be on the same page in theory. That's the same thing we're doing in 202. Fortunately, I don't have to do this in 302. I just YOLO whatever I want. But this one I do. So, and I should set the example since I'm the coordinator too. So, what does that entail for you? That entails that the assignments are made by different instructors. The first assignment is done by yours truly, and then the rest of them are done by other people. So that does present a challenge sometimes to different ways of explaining things in assignments, and we'll run into some issues. We'll work it as we get there. Same thing with the tests. The tests are done by having a question pool, and then we all throw in questions in there. I do, like we have, I think, 6 or 7 instructors right now in 202. Can't remember if that's including myself with the 6 + 1. And we're all going to throw in questions there. We're all going to make sure that all the questions that are thrown by somebody else are actually stuff we covered, and then we'll give them out. And this helps to avoid cheating because we have, every test is different. We have like just a massive pool of questions, like hundreds. And then it's supposed to be balanced in terms of difficulty, that it's consistent across the board. So yeah, we'll do that. Easier said than done. And oh, and one more thing, this one will be fun. We are using CodeGrade. So it's an auto grading software. Yeah, we'll see how that works. But it worked great for 135. My biggest complaint I've heard from 135 people is that it sucks because like if your code is not perfect, then it just rejects it. So what can I say? Have fun with that. I myself just failed at trying to do the first assignment on CodeGrade, and I had to ask one of the other instructors to actually like put the assignment for me in CodeGrade. So I'm the first one to say I failed using CodeGrade. But yeah, we'll work with that. You know, I'm on my end, what I can offer to help is I'll be very lenient with this CodeGrade stuff. But yeah, I mean, I wish I could just say like, yeah, we're not using that stuff, it's toxic, but I can't do that, unfortunately. That's beyond my hands. What I was thinking is if I should make my own version of CodeGrade and sell it to UNLV for money, and like profit. But that's a whole different story. Cause like on the instructor side, the UI is horrifying. It's just like, that was a nightmare over the weekend trying to work with CodeGrade. So at least I'm done. This is the only assignment I'm doing, so I'm moving on from that. But yeah, yeah, we'll work with it. And you guys give me feedback. If there's anything I can do to help your CodeGrade pain, let me know on Discord or email, and I will try my best. But yes, we are going to be. But hey, when you get to 302, I am not using CodeGrade. So like, there's no CodeGrade. So once you get past this class, you're good to go. So yes, okay. So yeah, that's that, and I think that's about all the big stuff. You can read the rest of this on your own. This was made pre-CodeGrade, but most of the stuff will be the same. The rubric here is a little different than CodeGrade, I think, so that may vary. We don't have a TA yet. We will have one probably like later this week. I looked at the list, so yeah. I mean, I'll let you know when he comes. I'll have him come introduce himself in class someday. Work on your own assignments. Don't cheat. Don't use check for the tests or the assignments. I am monitoring check. We catch on average one person per class per semester on check using that. So yeah, I really don't want to preach that, but I usually spend about 5 minutes preaching it. So just let's just skip the 5 minutes of me preaching not cheat, because someone's gonna cheat anyways. But please don't do it. Okay. You will fail the class too, so it's not like you're just like, oh, pat in the back, don't do it again. No. It's like that's it. You're out. There's no strikes. Okay. Check is hardcore. Like, so I got a check account finally. I used to have to ask you guys for check accounts, which was like a weird scenario where I asked the students to let me use their check account so I could check the solution for other people using check accounts. It was like some nasty place. So yeah, it's like going to it was like going to the gray market to figure out other things. Yeah. Anyways, we finally got our own check account, but like I was like, oh great, now I can just share with everybody. But they lock you to 2 computers per month. So now I'm like the designated check person. So whenever anybody wants to check something and check, they send it to me. I log in, I do it, move on. And since I got a new PC, I gotta wait for the old PC to go away from check. So I can't even share with like anyone else. So in a month, when I can, at least it'll be someone else in addition to me to ease the load. So yeah, no, check is like a beautiful business enterprise. Don't get me wrong. Like they're brilliant, big brain stuff for doing that. Why didn't I think of that first? I would have done it. But it's still messed up. But from a money perspective, it's like brilliant. It's just ethically really wrong. So yeah, okay. I encourage you to use Discord, but you're not required to. The big power of Discord, I want to say, is that I don't let you guys work together on assignments. However, the big exception is through Discord. If you're using public chat on Discord that I can monitor, then you're able to work together on assignments to an extent. And the beauty of this is that if you cross that line, then I can be like, hey, that's a little too much, but that's where it ends. I'm not gonna like be like, oh, you're cheated, you're going to jail. No. It'll just be like, okay, you gave a little too much, don't do that next time. And that's the cool thing about it. So like you can give hints to each other on the assignments. You can post code snippets. You can post well, you should Google anytime your code doesn't compile. The first thing you should do, other than unless you know what it is to copy and paste the error on Google, and you'll probably find someone in Stack Overflow that has the same error, and it's like, oh, it's because you forgot this or you did this, and most of the time that's pretty much where it ends. And I do that all the time too. Don't get me wrong, with Python and get a traceback error. So that's not something that goes away in your coding life, as far as I know. So it makes me sad. People before the internet, they have to actually go to books to figure out what compiler error meant. Ooh, sad. Those are the dark ages of coding, probably. But yeah, so yeah, you should communicate with each other on Discord to help each other out. I highly encourage you to do that, and it is okay. And also there are the medieval ages, yeah, and there's also students who have taken this course that are already in Discord who are probably willing to help you out and give you hints, because they might have done. Well, in 202 they will not have done the assignments because they're all new probably. Actually, my assignment though is a variation of, and some of the students in Discord have already done it, this Unigram assignment. So they can probably help you out. So I do encourage you to help each other out on Discord, and then other people might jump in that are like in 302 or more advanced classes who might actually just know how to fix your errors. So be nice to everybody there, of course. But I do encourage you to use that, although it is optional. You can always email me or the TA. The TA will have official office hours where you can go one-on-one and they'll help you out. And I do encourage you to use that because we're paying them anyways. So use that. Don't feel bad of using the TA has to sit there in front of the computer during their office hours. Sure, they could be on YouTube, but they have to be there. So might as well use that. Keep them entertained. So yeah, make sure you sign this. This is signing that you read this and you agree with it, that you're gonna behave on Discord, and protects me from going to get in trouble for people posting inappropriate stuff on Discord, which I hope they don't, but it happens. And even if you want to be moderators for that, let me know. There's probably gonna so we're gonna have one official TA for 202, but then I have this secondary floating TA that will help out between 202, 302, and a little bit of 301. So I'll have him have office hours, and you can come to him for questions in general. And then he'll float around, maybe help grade some exams, help grade the final presentation in 301. So yeah, but we'll have one official TA and then a second sort of floating one. So, and you can also, this is very important, since we are sharing all the material, you can go to any of the TAs from the other sections and ask for help, and they should technically help you. And yes, unlike 135, there is no lab for 202. So, yay. because that's less stuff. Like it's unfair that that's a 3-credit course and they make you do a lab. They should make it 4-credit, but that's politics. What? No. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this debugger thing, and then we can do some review. By the way, so how this will run is I have an iPad. So hold on, that's bugged. Okay, I have an iPad, so I will be able to like you know, draw things for you, and you know, it's more in 302 I use it a lot. In 202 I don't use it a lot because I just code, and the code is easier. But I still have some pictures that are useful, like when we do memory stuff. So this will be like my little whiteboard, and then the other thing I tend to do is have this zoomable thing that allows me to write code. And then, yeah, so we can just, you know, write code and run it and play around. And that's pretty much how the course will run. I think I said this already, I used to have a green screen, but I don't anymore. So it doesn't look as cool on YouTube. But it was that or literally be drenched in sweat at the end of the lecture, especially back-to-back lectures. Like I'd literally be drenched in sweat. So, yeah. Okay. You know, the thing that said that you lose weight if you sweat a lot, that's lies. It's only if you do actual exercise. If you just sweat, you lose water. Because like I should be like super thin by the amount of, yeah, you just use water weight. Because like if you just lost weight by just sweating, I would literally be like, I would just not exist. There would be like nothing left of me because of the amount of sweat that I would have. Whereas right now I'm actually like pretty, I mean, I'm hot, slightly sweaty, but I'm okay. Okay, so, okay, so let me show you this debugger situation. So let me start by giving you a link that I'm going to post on. I'll post it on the chat, and then for those of you watching on YouTube at home, I'll post it on the description below. Okay. So this is what I'm basically just gonna show you what this tutorial does. But like, you should be able to read this and do it on your own too, technically. But you know, I'm gonna show it to you because it's important. So pop that open if you want. If you want to follow along, you can. If not, you can watch this video later and do it. Okay. But if you do follow along and you get stuck, let me know. Okay. So what we want to do, in fact, let me show you what the end game is here. Okay. So this here was me trying to code a different assignment one, and then you know, I was playing around with other stuff. Okay. So the end game is that you're gonna have a system where whenever you write code, actually it won't work on this one. Let's do it on the other one. I actually set one up for class. This one that we'll use every day, so I have a debugger ready to go. So the end game is you're gonna have our chat message views on the recording. They're not, but what I'll do is I'll take the link and I'll post it on the description below on the YouTube video or on the Canvas page. But YouTube video is better. Okay, but this is what you should be looking at, this page here. Okay, and this is the link right here. I know it's really tiny, but again, I'll post it on the description below, and it's on the chat for those of you that are here. Okay, so the end game is this. You will have this little beautiful IDE, color-coded code, has autocomplete. So like if I write C out, I can press tab to autocomplete. You can do that with variable names. So if I have a variable called like potato, and I'm trying to see out that variable, bam, autocomplete, right? Furthermore, if I want to debug this, I can set a breakpoint, and I'll talk about how those work, and watch what happens here. So like I think the shortcut is F5, yeah, F5. So hit start debugging, and then bam, I hit a breakpoint, and I have a thing called variable watch. And this is probably really tiny. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. Looks nicer now. Let me just maximize the usage of this. There we go. Okay, so I have a variable watch over here that allows me to keep track of the variables and their contents. This can be very useful when you're debugging to, you know, you expect this to have a 0, but all of a sudden it has a 1. You're like, huh? Okay, and then you usually find out what the issue is. And throughout the semester, we will play with this and we'll get to actually see it, and I really want you to use this. Okay, this is like my goal this semester is to like get everybody using a debugger. So yeah, so then so I'll show you all these steps, but you can step over, you can see what happens. So look at this. We're gonna do this line of code that assigns potato to 1, right? So look what happens. Bam, that gets updated to 1. you can keep track of what is stored in the variables. And if I had a for loop in here, it would loop around and see that. And we'll see that in a minute. Maybe today, maybe next time when I actually have cool code, okay? So that's the power of this. And if it crashes and things like that, it'll give you so much more information. It's just so better because you're able to see the code line by line. So you can see what line of code the code crashes in. And that by itself is like amazing. Because like, going back to the car metaphor, instead of saying the car doesn't work, now it tells you which specific part of the car doesn't work. And that already there is like, okay, now if what doesn't work is the battery, well then bam, that gives you the solution. If what doesn't work is like the starter or the spark plug or something, just telling you what component it is saves you like 80% of the job. And then the rest is trying to fix the component. Yes, yeah, print statements are cool. But we have transcended that, or hopefully after you guys do this, we will. Anyways, so yeah, when you're done, yeah, you'll get some warning here because it's trying to do other things. But yeah, that's basically how the debugger works. So now what I'm going to show you is how to achieve this power. Okay, so let's close this and let's start from scratch. You know, I could have gone even more scratch by having I might be able to start like a brand new no, because I was gonna say the first step you gotta do is download VS Code, but I might not want to do that because like what if the download takes like 10 minutes, you know, since I'm streaming. But the first thing you want to do is download actually VS Code, okay? So how do you download VS Code? How to download VS Code on Google, just so I can get the link. But here we go. Download Visual Studio Code on Linux. So there's links to download it, but you can also use Snap. I believe you can use Snap to download it. In fact, does the Get Started tell you how to download it as well? Oh, yeah, it does actually. Install Visual Studio Code. So there's an entirely different tutorial you can click on there in the link, and then wait for it to not download and cry, or you can just wait. But I believe it's like Snap install VS Code. This, by the way, will work on Windows and Mac. I do highly encourage you in the class to use Linux because, actually, you know, my reasoning for that was because like the grading was done on Sally, which is a server. But now since it's done in CodeGrade, I don't know. I mean, CodeGrade does run on Linux, but it does kind of take away a big thing. You should still do it on Linux though. It's just easier since we're using the same system and makes life easy. But anyways, I believe, you know, if that worked, it'd be nice. Can you all hear me, or did the internet die? Now I'm worried because nothing's loading. Can you all hear me? Please talk to me. Oh no. I am now trying to connect to my phone. Hello, everybody. My internet died. Oh wait, I think it's back. Hold on. Let me hang on for here. Leave meeting. Okay, so we're all back now. It's not connection stripping out. Your upload still works. So you could hear me this whole time? Oh, okay, that's good. I'm glad I didn't curse. Okay, so yeah, that is the other thing I wanted to warn you about. Statistically, about once per semester, like the internet just dies. So thanks to Cox Internet providers. So maybe that was it. This was the one time. I'm glad it's now and not in the middle of like super critical information. So yeah, I got Gigablast and I still get like 100 megabyte download speed. So yeah, okay. So I mean, worst case, I could switch to my phone and just like massacre my mobile data. But usually, if that ever happens, what I'll do is I'll record the lecture, or and then just upload it later, or we can reschedule depending on if it's near the end or whatever. Yep, jinx. Okay. So, anyways, that's why this thing wasn't loading. So, Okay, so that link gets us to that link again. But there's another way to install in VS Code. I think it's Snap. It's like sudo snap something. Okay, don't worry about that. Whatever. Just follow what they say and download the deb. Okay? But anyways, once you get VS Code installed, you want to install the extension. And to do that, to install an extension on VS Code, you have open up a VS Code window and then click here where it says extensions. And then here, search for the extension you want. So in this case, you want the C++. I already have it installed, but it's this one, okay? You click on it, and then it'll see it like this one. You see a button that says install. You can actually click it right there too, okay? You want to install this IntelliSense. This will help you do the autocomplete and a bunch of other things, okay? So make sure you get that installed. Those are the steps that I quote unquote skipped because I already have them installed, okay? And then downloading them might take too long to do it right now live, okay? Then you see on the instructions you have to make sure that you have GCC installed. That's your compiler, the G++. You can install that way. If it doesn't work and you run this line of code, I'll post it on chat. But again, you can get it on the link. This right here, okay? Let me reset the zoom on that. So that is to make sure you have the G++ compiler installed, okay? If you're using Windows or something, then it might vary a little bit the line of code. But anyways, once you have that running, you're ready to start doing the connection stuff. Using G. Okay, we'll see. Might work, might not work. If it doesn't work, then you just have to Google that with VS Code and see. Okay, but that's fine. Okay, so now what we want to make is, if this is enough to start coding, but the debugger part won't work. So if you just do what I did so far, which is just install VS Code, make sure G++ is installed, install the C++ extension, the IDE will work. You can code here, things will autocomplete and look relatively good, but the debugger part won't work. The debugger is what takes the extra effort to do, okay? And that's the part people will get stuck and not implement because they've run into errors because it's not, the instructions are there, but they're not that clear sometimes if you don't know what to look for. So let's do that part. So let's just minimize all this to make a brand new project. So go somewhere in your computer, be organized, make a folder called 202, and there make another folder called VS Code or something, and then there make your individual project folders like assignment 1, like I did. We're gonna make one called test, okay? So then what you wanna do is you wanna open that folder in VS Code, okay? There are different ways to do that. The way they recommend here is just to put code and then dot from inside the directory. So cd test clear, and then type in code dot. That'll open up VS Code there. That's one way to do it. If you want to do it from within VS Code, then I think you have to do new open folder here, okay? You go to open folder and you select the folder and you hit OK. That's the other way of doing it, okay? So how do you know that this worked? Because you will see the folder in there. Where's my thing? I want to make sure, let's make this as big as we can. Okay, there we go. So you will see the folder here and you won't see anything in the folder, okay? That is fine, not to worry. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and make our C++ file. So you're gonna hit new file and call it whatever you want. I'm just gonna call it main.cpp. And then in there, just write some code. So for now, let me just take code from one of the other ones just so we have some code. Oh wait, I don't want to use that incursive stuff because the incursive stuff doesn't cooperate very well with it. Just take that. I should probably would have typed it a little faster. Okay, and just paste it there. So you do your assignment like normal. And then, okay, now we're ready to kind of set up the debugger. And by the way, once you set this up once, if you use the same sort of settings, then you can just keep using the same file and just copy the file elsewhere to submit. So you don't have to keep doing this over and over again. But you can. It's okay. Once you actually do this like often, you can do this in like a minute tops. Okay. So and I'm literally trying to make sure I follow the same thing that's here, so that you can also go home and follow the tutorial that I sent you. Okay. I guess in the tutorial they say test if autocomplete works, but it'll work because I haven't done anything. So that'll work too. But yeah, you can test autocomplete works by doing that. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to build this using the task JSON that they tell us to do. Okay, so what we're going to do next, this is the important parts, is we are going to go into terminal and then configure task. And then you're going to get this pop-up here on the top, depending on how big the monitor is, it'll be on the top somewhere, that gives you options. This is where I personally had issues and I had to be a little bit careful, okay? So in my scenario, it says to select the one that says C, C++, G++ build active files. But like literally I have like at least 4 of these that are literally the same thing, okay? This is where I had issues. I had to figure out which of these is the one that I actually need to pick. Like, I didn't know which one to pick, okay? You click on terminal, and then from terminal, you click on configure default task. Or sorry, configure default build task, this one, okay? That one. I don't know if I clicked the right one before, okay? So now, in here, which one do you select? This is where you might have to experiment if it doesn't work. I believe what I use is this one. Let me see actually what I've done in the past by opening the other ones. Yeah, user bin G++. Yeah, so that one's the one that's worked for me the best. Oh, did I actually? I might have not done that one this time. Hold on. Terminal, configure default task. Yeah, oh, I think I selected the wrong one. Let's try that again. User bin G++, this one, okay. So try that one that says user bin G++. But again, if that doesn't work, just keep experimenting with all of them, okay? So anyways, when you do that, try to build the thing and see if it works, okay? So go to terminal and then click run build task. Okay? In my case, it failed. Why did it fail? JSON file format. Oh. Okay. I'm glad it failed because now you can see. Make sure you have highlighted the main.tpp file. Here I had opened the task.json. I was trying to build a JSON file. You want to make sure you have the C++ file open like this, and then go ahead and try to build it. Okay. So run build task. Okay, you'll see it says build finished successfully. That's good. You're halfway done, okay? So that means the building works in there as well. So you're actually able to execute the program later on if you really wanted to. So you're okay. There are some things that you can modify in the task file, such as the command line arguments. So if your program requires command line arguments, you change those in here. Sorry. This is for the compiling command line argument. So like if your assignment says to compile like G++, blah blah blah, and then like some extra library, you would put this here as one of the lines here. Or if you have to compile multiple files, you would also put them here. Okay, so you can add that here. But for now, we're just doing a single file, which you can always start off with, and then split it into files before you submit. So you're good to go here. Okay. So next we are going to go ahead and set up the debugger. Okay, so now hit on run and then click where it says add configuration. Okay, from here you have to select the debugger you want to use. GDB should show up. If it does not show up there, then you have to install GDB, but in Linux it should automatically be installed. If not, Google GDB, like how you see here, GDB install, and you'll find out. But it should be installed. Like I said, I don't think I've run into a situation where it wasn't installed. Okay, you click that. After you click that, it's going to ask you a bunch of other things again. Make sure you click the same one that you did before. So in this case, user bin G++, like I did before. Don't do the bin plus G++. Maybe it'll work, but at least I'm telling you, if you do the one that I did, it'll definitely work. Okay, so after you do that, I think we're good to go. Obviously, your thing won't be as messy as mine. Mine's because I'm like zoomed in. And let's see. Yeah, I think it's good to go. It's so painful to watch this like this. Hold on, I gotta like, maybe I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. There we go. On the VS Code download image, is the Linux downloaded on the Penguin image? Let me see. Do you have Ubuntu? Do you know if your Linux VM is Ubuntu? Does it look purple like mine? If it is, download the one that says Debian, Dev, this one. So don't click on the Penguin, click here. And then download. Like that, okay? If you're using a different Linux machine that is these, then you would go with those. But yeah, I would assume you go with that one. Oh, yeah, so if you got Windows, then you go with that. But, and if you download the Windows for Linux, then yeah, that won't work. But yeah, okay. So, yep, I think this is set up to go now. So let's just try it. Start debugging. Yep, it worked. Let me set up the breakpoint. Yep, okay, it's worked. So, to review, what did I have to do? I had to go ahead and go to Terminal, configure default task. I had the window pop up. I had to select the path to the compiler, basically. That user bin fun, this one right here. Except it said G++. And once I did that, it created the, it actually created the task JSON, so this one. And then from there, I went ahead and with the run, add configuration, and then I selected C++, GDB, and then they created this file, and then I go back to main and then try to run it from there, okay? That's all you gotta do. Try it tonight, and then come back to me next class if you get stuck. I mean, well, send me a message on Discord as well, but like I'm saying, you can also come back and talk about it next time, okay? But I would like to see you all running a debugger. Let's talk about a little bit about how to use a debugger. So this idea of breakpoints is basically, so the debugger, if you don't do anything to it, you just run it, it'll run the same and it'll look the same as if you're running the program normal. The only difference is that if the program did crash, it would actually tell you way more information about why it crashed than if you just run it straight from the terminal. That's already a big win, but that is not always going to be the solution to your problem, because sometimes your program doesn't crash. It just has the wrong output, you know, because you screwed up some of the math. So it's not necessarily that like you're only going to be using this to avoid crashes. You can also be using it just to fix problems with your code. So that is when it's useful to actually look at the variables and see what they do. So set up a breakpoint by clicking on the left side of the numbers. You'll see these little red things pop up. You click on it and it stays. That means that the execution of the program will stop there, and then you had to hit next to run it. And you can also set up a bunch of them if you want to just skip back between different spots, or if you want to go line by line. Let me very quickly write a for loop in here so you can see that working. Yeah, okay, I think that'll work. It's been a while. Yeah, okay, why not? Wait. Let's use that. Okay. So let's put a breakpoint. Yeah, let's leave that like that, okay? So let us go ahead and run it. F5, or you can just go to run, start debugging, okay? But I'm just gonna hit F5 because it's faster. So you hit the breakpoint. To the left, you're going to see this variable watch stuff here automatically pop up. If it doesn't, because like something else is there, you can just click on the run and debug and it'll pop up. And then you can, the register stuff is a little bit too fancy unless you've taken 218 already and you actually kind of know what this is. But even if you take 218, like I see this and I'm like, yeah, this is useless for me. Like it will take way too long to understand that, like how that's actually working and how that even helped me debug. So don't worry about the register section. Worry about locals. You can create variable watches. So if there's a specific variable that you want to watch, you can add to the watch. This helps when you have like 100 variables in your program and you only care about like 5 of them. You add those to the watch and then you don't have like a massive page of variables. Don't be surprised. Like a whole program can have a lot of variables. Even like 135 assignments have a lot of variables. So yeah, you see this little thing pop up here. This is how you're going to control the debugger. The stop symbol here stops the debugging process, and then it just terminates the program at that point. Useful if you're stuck somewhere, or you just want to, if you find a bug and you want to fix it. There are ways, like Visual Studio, like real Visual Studio has like ways of like updating code on the fly. This does not have that system set up yet. So if you change code, it's still going to be using the old code, which can confuse you. It's like, let's say I'm debugging right now, and like I start just writing a bunch of code here, you know, I don't know, whatever I'm doing, like int a, and then a gets 1. Like if I do this and I'm running a debugger and I haven't stopped it, it's still using the old code. So the line numbers are gonna get all screwed up and not match, and it'll be a mess. So make sure you stop the run, do whatever change you want to do, and then actually restart the code, okay? That's one thing you should know. That's what the stop sign does. Then you have this step over and then step into button. All debuggers, by the way, whether you're using Eclipse, IntelliSense, Visual Studio, Xcode, whatever debugger you're using, they all tend to have the exact same buttons, these ones, just different icons, okay? You have something like a step over, you have a step into, a step out, a play button, a pause button, and a stop button, okay? It's like any DVD or VCR or Blu-ray or whatever has a play button and a stop button, right? Yeah, that's the same thing here. So those are like common things, but the icons look slightly different, right? The stop button is usually a square, but it could be a circle, or the play button could be a triangle, but the triangle might have a little line with it. Well, so what do they do? Step over allows you to skip each line of code that you're doing. So like, if you have a function call, so let's put a function call on this. This is good because it's review as well. So to write a function, if it's a valid returning function, you put the type. Let's say it's a void function. You're gonna call it foo. There's no parameters. In this function, you're just gonna say cout hi. Okay? Since there's since it's a void function, you don't need to put a return statement. You could, but it won't really do much, especially at the end of the function like that. So yeah, if I go ahead in here and I call my foo function inside the loop, my function call, and I run this code in debugger mode again, I stop here, and now if I was to use the step over function, it will stay within this context of this function, it's the main function. So it'll actually go this line, and then this line. The step into allows you to enter sort of the code behind the code to see what that code does. So if I want to go into the foo function, then if I hit step into, it'll go in that, and I'll show you in a second. So that's cool and all, but if you try to step into in something like cout, it's actually going to go into the magic behind the cout function, which might cause an error. So let's try it and see if it does that. I did it in here. Sometimes it will, sometimes it doesn't. So like, you know, when you're using a library function, there's code that was done for that library function, right? And so you don't care about that code because that code doesn't have a bug in it. I mean, it might, but like the odds are super slow, like super low. Like the odds are the bug is in your code, not like the developer's like library. Like too upper or too lower, or like the IOMN IP library have been used for years, and like I'm sure that they have found bugs at some point, but like the odds of you finding a bug are so low that more than likely the bug is somewhere else, not in their code. But hey, you never know, right? But at this level, let's just assume that's the case. Okay. So with that said, let me just show you these buttons in action. So if I do step over here, I go into the loop, and now I go into the function, and so I'm going to hit step over. So I'm basically going to be skipping that foo. See, nothing happened. I have my variables here, but they're only within this context, which they're local. So if I had a variable here, let's put an x gets 1, and then x plus plus. I'll stop it again. This is a shortcut for stopping, by the way. I just don't remember it. I like how this code keeps getting bigger. So yeah, if we run through this foo, you know, you don't see any updates here because it's not a local variable. This x is not a local variable, so you don't see it. And you can see this is going to go around a bunch of times, and you can see the I here is updating itself every time I run with a new variable. You see that? Sorry, not a new variable, new value. So that's very useful to keep track of the values and see like, okay, is this what it should be? Like, were you expecting there to be a 2? Like, you know, if you have a problem in your code, you do it by hand, you figure out what those numbers should be, then you compare it with the debugger where it varies. You're like, huh, that's not what I thought it should be. And then you probably see the line of codes area, and then you're like, oh, maybe that's supposed to be a 2 equal sign instead of 1 or something. And that's how you find those bugs, because you know what to expect from these numbers. And where you see them go wrong, like, this all might sound like this will never happen, but like, trust me, it will happen so often. It always, like, it happens to me, even like after having done like endless hours of C++ assignments and other things. Like, debuggers always find things that you miss. Like, in fact, I'd say the fact that I've coded more than you guys makes me miss so many more things, because I'm just like, I don't think about them. And so I make the mistake, and it's like a rookie mistake. You're like, okay, whatever, moving on. Right? So let's try the step into function. So this one's this one. So then when it runs again, where am I? Oh, I did. Oh crap. The for loop finished right before I did it. So it's okay. Okay. So let's try step into. This time it goes into the foo context. You see that? That's cool. Now we're in foo, and we can see the local. By the way, answer me this: why does my local variable have the number 32,767? Why does it have that and not 1? It's not uninitialized. Right there. Yes. Very good. Well done. You are indeed correct. At this point in time, when the function is created, the variables are created, but because I have not run that initial line of code, there is no initialization yet. And so X is not set. So yes, it has a random value, which happens to be that number. Okay. It could be anything technically, although sometimes it's just like weird patterns. So as soon as I run this line of code, bam, that gets initialized. So you can see that happening live. And this is really cool. Like, you know, I always think about like 135. Like, this would be a cool way to teach coding, you know, because you get to see the code like live. But you know, then I think like, okay, this is biting more than you can chew. Trying to see like a debugger might freak people out too. So yeah, okay. So anyways, you'll see as I run that line of code, becomes 2. Very cool. And then if I run that again, I hit the end, and I go back to this other context. So it's very cool to track where code is going back and forth. When you do recursion later on, this is a lifesaver for that. Like, you can, yeah, it's a lifesaver. So anyways, A is 0, now it's 1, and then I is 0, and now it's 2, and then it's 3, right? Because here you got increased by 2 and here by increased by 1. This is like, for example, something that you might have not intended to do. Like, maybe you didn't intend to change the variable you're using in your for loop in here, and this would give you a warning like, huh, I just went from 0 to 3. Like, maybe in your mind when you were writing this function, you wanted this to just increment by 2. So you were like, oh, let me do a for loop and then we increment it in here. But then you forget that you also incremented it here, so it's going by 3s. So that's where you would notice this. You were like, oh, Snoop, it went up to 3 instead of 2. Why? And then you're like, and as you're doing this, you know, you're like running this, you're like, okay, here it goes to 5. Now I'm up here. And then when I go to the next line, it goes to 6. And you're like, oh, it's because of this. So maybe what you meant to do is to say, here it should be I equals I plus 2, and then not have this line of code. Maybe that's what you intended to do. But again, here, let me show you what happens if I keep running. See? The code is still doing the old version of the code. So that's really bad, because it's going to really confuse you. So make sure when you change code, you stop it and you rerun it. Okay, it has to recompile and re-execute. So now we can see that it goes to 0, and then to 2. By the way, I did notice something interesting there. Let me run that again. We got our I initialized again. See that? Because again, it's hitting the for loop, but it hasn't hit the actual initialization. So only after that it goes to 0. So that's kind of cool. And then it goes to 2, 4, 6, 8, and then it went out. Why? Because 8 plus 2 is 10, and 10 is not less than 10, so it got out of the loop, right? So, yeah, that's how you do that. Let me do one more example. Let me put a breakpoint in this function, and let me just use the play buttons. So one other thing you can do is you can just hit continue. Continue will run the code until it hits the next breakpoint automatically. So in this case, it just went all the way in here. If I continue again, you see it doesn't move. Why? Well, it got out of the for loop, went again, and then it went back into the for loop, into the foo function. So I can take away the breakpoints on the fly. So if I run it again, it'll go all the way out to this breakpoint. That's pretty cool. And then one more thing. Hit play. We're inside the foo function. We're not at the end though, but I can also hit the step out function, and that will take you to the outer context of where you're at. So it's useful if you accidentally get into like a function you didn't mean to. You can just hit back on that. So what that means is it ran the code here all the way to the end until it got out of the function. So it still ran the code. It just doesn't make you go line by line. So that's it. You have your continue button. You have your step over, your step into to enter functions, step out to exit functions ahead of time, like early, instead of just having to step over everything. Restart, which I never used, which might have been something I should have done. Actually, the reason why is because restart is not that useful for me, because whenever I'm trying to rerun code, it's probably because I changed something in the code, and you want to make sure you actually stop it and run it again, because it has to recompile. If you just hit restart, I don't think it recompiles, and so you'll be running old code, which will just confuse you more because the breakpoints are a little bit messy. So that's a lot of talking. How do we feel about this? Are we all going to start using the debugger now? That's good. I like to see that. Very good. So anyways, we didn't do that much review. Don't worry about that. We will go ahead and do a little bit in the beginning of next class. I really wanted to get this debugger stuff kind of down. So yeah, we will have the class on WebEx on Wednesday for sure. And then that'll give me enough time to aggregate the polls and figure out what we're going to do with Twitch or WebEx. But yeah, that's just, that'll be the plan. For the last few minutes, we got 8 minutes left. We have time for maybe like, should we take a peek at the first assignment? Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Let me show you. Actually, you know what? I don't think I showed. Did I give you a Canvas tour? I don't think I gave you a Canvas tour, so maybe I should do that too. Oh yeah, what version of C++ should we run? So you should always put in your comment to the top of the code which version you use, just in case that there's an issue. We know. I would encourage you to use 11 or higher because you have so many other features that you don't have in 98. So yeah, you can use 14 or 17 too. Whatever. Like I would use the newest version. There are some weird times where like there are differences. Like well, the biggest differences are before 11. Like a bunch of things don't work, which is like why would you use that? For example, there's some string functions like s2i, string to integer, that do not work in 11, I think. By the way, if you want to change the version of that, it's in here under tasks. Right now it's building with the default, but you could also like put like std equals C++. Let's try like 98. Let's try to make it compile with the older one. See if that works. Put a comma there. Okay, it built. So now that it built, let's break it. I think if I do s2i a, oh wait, I have a name variable already. s2b. I think that won't compile. Ah, it compiled. Very cool. What's a function that doesn't work? I thought s2i didn't work in 98. Or maybe it's ignoring my thing here. Let me try running it on the terminal. So that's the different stuff. Yeah, so it shouldn't compile. I've never used Code Debugger before. Is there a way to put it in our code there to make sure it compiles? I think so. I think you're able to I think you're able to like submit your code and test it against their output, and if it doesn't work, it'll tell you the expected output versus your output, and like tell you the differences so you can fix it, and it'll also tell you that like it wouldn't compile. And yeah, you can. I think there's I think it's unlimited the amount of times you can submit it, but I think they have like some anti-DDoSing things where like you're limited to like one submission per minute or something. There's like some like timing limit, but that's only for their protection so they don't get like DDoS. 5 times per 30 minutes. Damn, that's kind of low. Oof. Okay. Well, hopefully you're only doing that when you're finished with it, because like I compile like 50,000 times per minute when I'm trying to fix issues. Like literally, you saw me right now compile like 20 times in the past hour. So I guess only do that when you're finished, so you don't like time yourself out. That would suck. Like you have 5 tries and you only have 1 hour for the deadline. Oh, that reminds me. It's important. So in the syllabus, I have stated that there's no late assignments. However, there is. That's just what I have legally stated in the syllabus to protect myself. But I do allow late assignments with a certain policy. So if the assignment is due at 11:59 p.m. of like, right before midnight of like a Monday, okay? You have up to 24 hours after the deadline to submit your assignment with a deduction. So how do the deductions work? Well, before CodeGrade, I had it all set up on Canvas really beautifully. I don't know if that's going to break it now with CodeGrade, but the way it works is for every hour you turn it in late, you lose 2% of the grade. So like if you turn in 2 hours late, the highest grade you can get is a 96%, which is still an A. So that is meant to kind of help you out if you're like a few minutes late to a few hours late. After 24 hours, that is a 2% deduction, so 2 times 24, it's a 48% deduction. That's like half the grade lost. So at that point, after 24 hours, it goes from 48% lost to everything lost, okay? So you basically have that 24-hour leeway, which is not meant for you to always turn in things late. Like, don't do that. Why? It's meant for like when I guess when it comes to that point, like when stuff happens and you're last minute and like you think you're gonna finish it, but like you submit it 5 minutes late, you only lose 2% of the grade. That's okay. 98%, big deal. Sometimes you might have a moral dilemma, like you right before the deadline, you have an assignment that's like 90% done, and you're like, oh snap, I could fix this in like 30 minutes. So like you have to make the decision: should I turn it in now? Or maybe you should just turn it in now anyways, but like maybe you fix it in 30 minutes. So then you can resubmit it, and then before you would have gotten probably a 90, but now you're probably gonna get a 98 because it works fully. So that was worth it. But you might have a dilemma where like it takes you like 4 hours to finish it, and like you could have gotten a 90, but now you're like risking a potential 92 in the best case scenario. So but yeah, it will round up just because of the way it works. So anything from 1 minute to 59 minutes or 60, I guess, would be 2%. So yeah, I mean, don't wait till last second. Don't that would suck to lose 2% because you turn in 1 second late. So don't do yourself that. Especially with this code grade thing. Don't wait, because if you only have 5 tries for 30 minutes, that puts you in a iffy situation. So yeah, I got an interesting Discord message, so that's why I was looking at my phone. Okay. Anyways, I don't know what this has to. I think it's not supposed to work, as you see here with 98, but for some reason it's ignoring the build flag. Let's try to run it without debugger. I don't know why it's ignoring that flag. It's probably still running it with the modern C++. But I guess this is one example where like a code would not work with an older compiler. So I don't know which version Coder uses, or if it lets you set it. So just keep that in mind. I'm okay with using whatever version you want. Before Coder, I'd just be like, just put it in the comment. But now things might get a little iffy with that. So we'll work with those issues as we face them. anyways, that's the Canvas course. I don't know if I showed you a tour. Discord link is here. And there are video links to the other classes, like I said, like the last time I taught 202, which you can watch if you would like, but I will have the live class too, you know, better, I guess, unless I'm sick or, you know, I find like one of them is really good. Like the operator overloading I have here is much better than what I remember operator overloading, so we might just watch that one. But yeah, and as for the first assignment, it's been posted. It's not a hard assignment. Watch the video. By the way, all assignments will have a video associated with them to give you an introduction and to show you some sample output. And yes, I'll go over it more in detail on Wednesday, but because I do want to review some basic concepts that you might need for this assignment, which you might be rusty on. This assignment is easy in terms of code, but it does require you to understand how to parse text. And there are some trivial, but they're trivial once you know them things about the assignment. So if there's stuff that you have never done, you could struggle with. So that's kind of what I want to touch upon. So I'll do that on Wednesday, like I said. That'll be part of the review that we do. Wednesday's schedule is for me to basically review more, talk about function overloading, and then start introducing classes. So we'll have plenty of time, okay? Like I said, this video will be the exception where it might not be uploaded immediately because of my data issue. But usually I will upload videos like an hour or two after class ends. Probably, maybe I'll take longer this time because I have both the 302 and the 202 back to back to upload. So it might take me a couple more hours. It all depends on my speed. You know, it sucks. But yeah, that's it. That's the course. Review your 135 anyways, and try to get started on the assignment because if you have questions, I can always answer them on Wednesday as well when I go over the assignment. So maybe touch it. Just look at it. Okay? But this will be a good semester. This is a fun class. I like it a lot. I think it's important class for you to learn. So, you know, it's not like your generic gen eds or whatever. So, yeah. Okay then. Great. So I will see you guys on Wednesday and have fun with Code Grade, I guess. So take care. I'll make the WebEx meeting so that you all can come on Wednesday. Have a good night. Bye, everyone. I'll stick around for a minute in case anybody has like a private question or something. Somebody asked me privately what CodeGrade is. CodeGrade is an auto-grading software. You submit your assignment there, and it compares the output with the output that they gave it, like hard-coded it, and it grades your assignment automatically, and it gives you feedback immediately, supposedly. So yeah. I will be uploading the video to YouTube, so if you missed out the beginning, you can watch it. There's nothing urgent other than read the syllabus and submit it, the science stuff. So yes, to answer that question there, just wait until the video is uploaded, then you can watch it if you missed the beginning. But make sure you read the syllabus. Yep. Cool. See, this is nicer because 302 I have a class. I have your class right after it, so I can't really hang out. But here I can like hang out a few minutes to answer questions. I have a question. I've coded a few months, but I do have all my assignments. Do you have material where if I get stuck on something basic? Well, I have the 135 video lectures from. I taught 135 over the summer 2020, so I have those on my YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome to watch those, and they are labeled by topic. So that if you want to watch like how do you loops, or how do you do structs, or how do you do functions, then you can watch those specific videos. The other resource that I highly recommend is geeksforgeeks.com. They have everything you could want in terms of examples and guides and everything for anything from 135, 202 to even 302. It's a really great website. If you all remind me, I can show it to you on Wednesday as well. But those are going to be your best starting points to refresh your knowledge for 135. I'm going to stop the recording since they're just Q&As. For those of you on YouTube, I will see you next time.